and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton, and today we're going to talk about why parents might need a little education and support. I have two folks here from Healthy Families, Chenequa Hayden and Alvean Lyons. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
I think this is a hard thing for people. Like, instinctively, I should know how to parent. I shouldn't have to go to class, right? Like, I have to go to class to learn how to drive, but not to learn how to parent.
Which is actually a little bit crazy, if we're going to be technical about it.
When you say it out loud, it is.
Okay? Because when you're thinking about the value of a car versus the value of a child's life, we kind of all should have a license. You know, like that would be great.
Yeah.
But that's not exactly how it works out. And we think that we should know everything, like you said, because it's our baby. As if there's something that's innately given to us that's going to ensure that we know how to move them through that entire continuum, and that is just absolutely not true.
Yeah, but it's a hard thing. Like, people have these preconceived notions that I know how to do. I go to school for everything else, but this, somehow, I should know how to do.
Oh, agreed, completely. Chenequa sees it all the time.
Very true, but then you also have the other side in which they have this baby and that you have all of this wonderful programming while you're preparing for your little one.
Yes.
And then when you come home, you're like, oh my God,
What
they're
do I do?
real. What do I do?
Right. You don't have to go. Well, part of it is the doctor sort of makes you go to the childbirth preparation classes.
The early stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I went to all that. And then, but it is like, you know, they send you home from the hospital and you're like, holy cow.
And we hear that all the time at Healthy Families. And it was like, what do I do now?
It's true. It's like trial by fire, quite literally.
But, you know, you think back, like, mom never went to class, grandma never went to class. For centuries, women and men have been figuring this out. But, you know, there's science now. There's actual studies about what works.
And then considering the fact that when they were doing this years ago, there wasn't as much balance that had to take place. Moms could stay home. We are now, usually did. And we are now two-income households. We are requiring that and still need additional funds. So imagining how you're going to effectively parent, how you're going to be a professional at the same time, how you're going to be a healthy partner. I mean, we're balancing so many different things, and there are ways that we have to learn how to do that effectively.
And you know, life was a little simpler back then.
It was.
You had your neighborhood. All the moms were stay-at-home moms.
Absolutely.
You didn't have social media. TV wasn't, you know, 24/7 cable with different content, shall we say. I mean, there weren't as many influences out there on kids.
It's true.
Yes, I was going to say the other thing is the amount of information. How do you decipher through what is right for you, your family, your child? Because we know not everything works the same way for everybody. And so it can be a little confusing.
More than one kid, you're like, you go, everything I learned on kid number one, I need
not
to
work
start over.
Exactly.
Start over at kid number
Exactly.
2. It's true. And it really requires that we're honest with ourselves about the fact that we are not supposed to run around with an S on our chest for super moms and super dads. It is completely okay to need a little bit of help. And not help in the sense that you're failing in some way.
I think that is part of the stigma that people, you know, feel like a failure or feel like they should know, and so they don't.
It's very true, which is the same thing that we see in therapy and counseling.
Right.
That somehow, if I need to seek help outside, it means there's something deficient where I'm concerned. But one of the things we talk about all the time is there are 3 kinds of parents: good parents, bad parents, and great parents. But what's the difference between them? And I always say that a bad parent is simply a parent who knows what their child needs and chooses not to give it to them. That's bad parenting.
That's making a conscious decision.
You're making a conscious decision to not be there for your kid. Absolutely. A good parent is simply a parent who gives your kid everything you've got. If on a scale of 10, you've got 4 and you give your kid all 4, you're a good parent.
Whether you work in 2 jobs and have this much,
this is all you've got.
Yeah.
You're giving 100%. How can anybody want more than 100% from you? But the great parent we can all be. And that's when you recognize that if you only have a 4, but you want to put a kid out into the world that's a 10, that gap between 4 and 6, that's what parent education is for. Reaching out for resources that help you to be your best self so that your kid can be their best self. And what Healthy Families does is to help to close that gap for parents so we can all be great parents. Not perfect. And there's a difference between perfect and great.
Really and truly. Don't hold ourselves to that
Absolutely.
standard.
That's an unrealistic standard completely. Trash it. It's never going to happen. So just work on being a great parent. And that's what we're here to help people do.
I remember I went to parenting classes. We didn't have the programs in Healthy Families that we do now, so it was in another locality. But a lot of the people were in them were college-educated women, 30 and over, and we're all sitting there going, holy cow, we're starting from scratch. Like, we think we should be more together than we are, and here we are trying to figure out how to get a shower every day. And, you know, and so part of the class was what the teacher was saying, but part of it really was the group experience and being around people and realizing, I'm not a total failure.
Absolutely.
Everyone struggles. It's
Absolutely.
Yes, but that is a really intricate piece because a lot of times you are thinking that you're going through this by yourself.
Right.
And then when you go to the various programs that we have at the building, whether it's a parenting class or whether it's play group, you say, wait a minute, my child is doing that too. Really? How do you handle it? And then sometimes you can get really good feedback from your peers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. And then, you know, the other thing is it breaks down that myth that everyone else has their act together except for me.
And you don't.
I feel like that all the time.
That's so true. And it builds community. Because a lot of these moms and dads now have a whole network of people that they did not know before that are going through the same stages in development. So now you have somebody you can pick up the phone and call and be like, hey, Teresa, have you had this happen with your kid? Because I just went through this. And they can say, you know what, don't worry about it. It's totally normal, because all of us are going through the same thing together. And it creates a wonderful sense of community and support. So Healthy Families classes are a great way to build that. So it's not just calling your mom or calling your aunt or your next door neighbor, but you have the benefit of people who are exactly where you are, going through the same things you're going through.
Well, and it's also a little bit of continuing education, because I think even sometimes, okay, so you know you have to go to childbirth classes, and then you get new baby and you think, well, Parenting 101, I'll get that under my belt, and then I can stop.
Right.
Is it like that, Chenequa?
No, it really isn't like that. Because once you get through Parenting 101, then your child is going to give you some other characteristics, and developmentally you're going to say...
Toddlers are a whole new game.
Exactly. And then you're going to say, oh my goodness, how do I deal with this? And then we want the citizens to say, oh, but we can go back to Healthy Families.
Absolutely.
Because they have programming that can help me with children that are, you know, oh, they're biting. That's a big one for toddlers.
Right.
Oh,
we get that a lot.
I have a friend whose daughter got kicked out of like 3 preschools for biting. She's
Absolutely.
like, I have to go to work. What am I going to do? You know, how do I deal with this?
Exactly. And so just trying to work to get the parent on the same page with also possibly their child care provider or school, are different techniques that, you know, to try to identify why is it that behavior is actually transpiring? Why is it actually taking place? And so that's what we hope to be for the families of Hampton.
Well, and I look at it, too, as a little bit of professional development. Like, if I am going to start using Photoshop or Illustrator, a new computer program that I'm not familiar with, I did this for Microsoft Access, I don't just sit there and try to figure it out as I go. I'm going to take a class or an online class, or I'm going to talk to people, and I'm not embarrassed about that. So why would I be embarrassed about asking for a little help with parenting
It's very
skills?
true, and it really doesn't make sense when you say it out loud.
I know, I feel like
it really, you realize that that's a ridiculous notion to expect yourself to be able to do this thing with a process that is ever evolving. I mean, our kids are different from day to day, quite literally. With a computer program, you know, once you figure it out, it'll be the same thing for as long as you use the program. Not true at all when you're dealing with children. So once you mix personalities, the development.
that's your parallel right there.
It's true. Like, each personality is different. Your children's inclinations are different. Their temperaments are different. The way they orient to each other and to you is different. Every element of your child's personality is going to affect the way in which you're going to have to parent that child. And we have to remember as parents that that recipe that we use for 1 doesn't work on 2, and 2 is not going to work on 3, and 3 may not work on 4. And if you have more than that, God bless you. You know, like, it really it really is quite an evolving challenge. And having a resource that you can go to that will help you every single time. And we don't care if you were there for the first child and you need to come back for the second one, because sometimes in that gap, if your kids are a few years apart, you feel like a new parent all over again.
Well, and it is different when you've got an older one and a baby.
Younger one.
It's a
at the
lot
same
different
time.
than just having the baby.
It's true. At the same time.
Well, let me ask you another, and maybe this is just me, but I'll bet that other people feel this too. I'm reluctant also to ask for help because you're going to judge me. Because y'all are great parents and you're rocking this thing, and I am drowning.
Yeah, we do hear that sometimes from parents as well. And we're like, we try to get them to understand we are real human beings as well. And so we try to share with them our experiences.
Yes.
Because we have not all been the parents that we are today all the time.
Absolutely.
And so I think when we present that to them and let them know that, hey, we're human, we've had these same challenges, and we didn't know what we were going to do with them either. However, we worked through it, and this actually worked for us, and we want to share it with you. It's not a thing where we're saying, oh, you should have done this. Why didn't you think of that? That's not the expectation at all. This is a no judgment zone.
Absolutely.
Completely.
Absolutely. You are totally safe and accepted for exactly where you are, and nobody's anticipating that you are supposed to have that thing perfect at all, nor are we presenting ourselves as perfect either. And even though people may call me a relationship expert or a parenting expert, my kids do crazy stuff every day. It's part of them being human. And I have those moments still too where I'm like, okay, what would the experts do? you stop and you have to think about it. Absolutely.
And I've seen therapists like this too. They can deal with other people's lives and challenges and be brilliant.
Yes.
But when you're in it,
it's a totally different experience because all of your emotions are involved in the situation. So regardless of whether or not you teach the classes or you do this work, you still are completely human, going through the same experiences that everybody else is, which makes us completely compassionate to those imperfect parenting experiences. We're not calling social services on you. We get it.
Well, and that is the other piece I'm going to ask about. I think some people think, oh, those parenting classes, that's for court-ordered people who have a lot of problems.
Right.
I'm not one of those people.
Right.
Do you get that?
I think that we do have some people that feel that way, but what we're trying to get people to understand is that parenting is for all children, all families.
Absolutely.
Because at any time you can run into a situation, regardless of your socioeconomic status, regardless of what you've experienced or who is in your life, that you don't really know how to navigate through.
Absolutely.
And so we want them to think of us just as a place, a safe place for you and your child. Children love coming to healthy families.
Well, and you guys said even the teenagers do, which, teenagers are like suspicious and they don't want to go through counseling or anything, but they get to hang out with the other teenagers, which really changes the picture, I think.
Exactly. I often tell teens when I used to do the groups that give me 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, you'll love me. Because it's a safe place. And they're like, this is a no, we're not judging. We don't run this like school. Right. This is a group where what you think, what you feel is important. And so this is a platform where you can openly share that with us. And then we can try to navigate you and your parents through it when we come back together.
Okay, so if we've convinced people out there that they're ready for a little parenting education and support, what should they do? Chenequa?
If they're ready for any parenting and support, please give us a call at 727-1300, extension 0, or you can go on our website, www.hampton.gov/YEF.
YEF stands for Youth Education and Families, for people who don't know. And I think you can also get there with /Healthy Families.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We'll make sure so that people can remember it.
And we want moms and dads to know that you're welcome always.
That was the other sort of myth or question I was going to throw out.
Dads.
I think
we are completely
they're like, oh no, it's going to be a room full of women. I don't want to get in there. I don't fit in.
Dads are welcome. We make sure that there's a space for them. When we say parents, we mean all parents, because you have fathers at home that are working just as hard as moms.
You do. You've got deployed moms now, and dads that are pulling single dad roles, even temporarily, maybe not full time.
So we need them to know that you are welcome in this space also.
And grandparents who are parenting as well. It's a little different this time around, you know?
Yes, we do have specific groups for grandparents. We also have an awesome Dynamics Dad groups that meets on Tuesday night. And it is like a brotherhood, that's what I call it, because they are like, they're partners, and it's so awesome to see the support that they're able to provide for each other.
Cool, okay. Well, thank you. Let's get the phone number one more time.
727-1300, extension 0.
Okay, and thank you for watching. I hope that some of the stigma or concerns or myths you might have had about going to family classes or groups have been erased a little bit, and you'd be ready to reach out and accept the friendship and help and community that's out there. Thanks for watching.